Welcome to Cybersecurity Pulse Chain. I am absolutely thrilled to have you with us today. In this explainer, we're going to unpack the absolute bedrock of digital defense. Whether you're studying for your CISSP certification or you just really want to understand how your data is actually protected in the modern world, well, this is where it all begins. We're going to build a mental model together, step by step, that makes total sense out of how networks keep the bad guys out and let the right people in.
Picture this for a second. You walk up to a highly classified, ultra-secure government facility. You stroll right up to the front gates, and before your hand even touches the door handle, a guard steps right in front of you. Now, how does that guard, or in our case, a complex computer system, actually know you are who you say you are? And maybe even more importantly, how do they know exactly which rooms you're allowed to enter once you're actually inside?
Well, the secret sauce here is what we call the IAAA Framework. Think of this like four interlocking data nodes that come together to form an impenetrable shield around a system. It stands for identification, authentication, authorization, and accountability. Literally every single time you log into your bank, your email, or your corporate network, this exact sequence is happening behind the scenes in just a fraction of a second. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at 1, identification, 2, authentication, 3, authorization, 4, accountability, and 5, the complete shield.
Starting with step 1, identification, claiming who you are.
This is the very first interaction you're going to have at the gates of our digital VIP club. Imagine a huge, muscular guy with a cape walks up to our security guard and just says, "I am Thor." That statement right there, that's identification. It's nothing more than making a claim. The system now knows who this person is claiming to be, and it pulls up the corresponding file to see if a Thor even exists in the database.
Out here in the real world, this claim takes a bunch of different forms. It could be typing in your name, your username, an ID number, an employee number, or even something like your social security number. But here's the critical flaw if we were to just stop right here. Anyone can claim to be anyone. I mean, I could walk up to the gate and say, "Hey, I am Thor." Because making a claim is so incredibly easy in public, identification all by itself offers zero actual security. And that brings us to the next absolutely vital checkpoint. Step 2, authentication, proving your identity.
So the security guard crosses his arms and goes, "Oh yeah? Prove you're Thor." Proving your identity typically falls into one of 3 distinct categories. Type 1 is something you know. This is the classic stuff, your passwords, a secret passphrase, or a PIN code. Then we've got type 2, which is something you have. This is an actual physical or digital object in your possession, like an ID badge, a passport, a smart card, a hardware token, or even a specific tracking cookie on your laptop. And finally, type 3 is something you are. We call these biometrics. These are your completely unique physical traits, like your fingerprint, an iris scan, or your facial geometry. So if Thor actually wants in, he might need to show his face to a scanner, swipe a keycard, and punch in a passcode. And this is where we really have to talk about best practices. If you're only using one of those methods, like just a password, that is single-factor authentication. And in today's threat landscape, it is notoriously weak. Authentication should absolutely always be done with multi-factor authentication, or MFA. That means you're combining at least 2 different types from that previous list we just looked at. For example, using a password, which is something you know, combined with a smart card, which is something you have. Slapping those together makes it exponentially harder for a hacker to fake your identity. Moving on to step 3, authorization, your access rights. Okay, so Thor has proven he's Thor, and he walks into the facility. But wait, is he allowed to go into the server room or the vault? Authorization answers one very simple question. What are you actually allowed to access? Think of this kind of like getting a VIP wristband at a concert. The color of your wristband determines your exact permissions and your boundaries within that network. Because just being inside the building certainly doesn't mean you have the keys to every single door. To manage all these permissions, organizations use specific access control models. This includes things like discretionary access control, or DAC, mandatory strict access, known as MAC, or maybe granting access based on someone's role, which is RBAC, or specific attributes using ABAC, or rules, known as RUBAC. We'll dive much deeper into these in another explainer, but for now, just know that a military base is going to use a much stricter model than, say, a small startup graphic design firm. Which brings us to step 4, accountability, tracing your actions. All right, Thor is inside. He's wearing his VIP wristband, but we still need to keep an eye on him. Accountability is basically the equivalent of the security cameras inside our facility. Its entire purpose is to trace an action to a subject's identity. Every single digital footstep, every file downloaded, every system changed is logged and permanently linked back to the identity that was proven at the front gate. And this brilliantly illustrates a core concept, especially if you're looking at CISSP Domain 1, known as non-repudiation. This is such a vital term. Non-repudiation means proving exactly who or what performed a given action so that it absolutely cannot be denied later on. If Ford deletes a critical database, accountability and non-repudiation ensure that he can't just throw his hands up and say, "Hey, it wasn't me." We have the digital proof linking that exact action right back to his authenticated identity. Finally, step 5, the complete security shield. When you step back and look at it, these 4 pillars form a really comprehensive architecture. Let's trace the journey one last time. You walk up to the gate and claim your identity. That's identification. This system demands you prove your identity. That's authentication. Once you're inside, the system checks your permissions to see where you can actually go. Authorization. And as you move around, the system continuously records your actions. Accountability. So I want to leave you with this thought to chew on. Think about your most important digital accounts right now. Your bank, your primary email. Are they actually protected by all 4 layers of this shield? Specifically, have you set up multi-factor authentication to truly prove your identity? Remember, security starts with understanding, but it's really secured through action. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and stay secure out there.